Lev Vygotsky was born on November 17, 1896, in Orsha, a city in the western region of the Russian Empire. He later attended Moscow State University, where he studied sociology, linguistics, psychology, philosophy, and law. But in 1970, he graduated with a law degree. Lev Vygotsky later furthered his education in psychology in 1924 at the same institute. After that, he completed a dissertation in 1925 on the psychology of art while being absent due to an acute tuberculosis relapse that left him incapacitated for a year. At the age of 30, Lev turned his interest towards researching language, attention, and memory with the help of a couple of his students. Lev Vygotsky later became a well-respected Russian psychologist who was best known for his sociocultural theory. His philosophy implores that social interactions, which include imitation, guided learning, and collaborative learning, all play a critical role in children's learning and development. Later in Vygotsky's career, he published 6 books on psychology topics over the period of 10 years. Even though his interests were diverse, they centered on child development and education. Lev's career was abruptly terminated in 1934. He was 38 years of age when he died of tuberculosis. He also has 2 children whose names were Gita and Azaya Vygodskaya.
Early childhood education is crucial for the shaping of any human being. The concepts or practices that children learn in the earliest stages of their life are the foundations of the rest of their development and mental growth. Hence, Vygotsky's philosophies can be used as a guide for early childhood educators. One of Vygotsky's theories that relates to early childhood education includes his socio-cultural theory. This suggests that social interaction leads to gradual changes in children's thought and behavior, and for this reason, allowing children to actively interact is necessary. Secondly, Vygotsky's theory of play advises that imaginative play is prominent for children's cognitive development because while children are playing, they are making sense of the world around them. In addition to that, children develop language skills as well by either speaking to themselves or others. After all, Vygotsky states that children observe the speech and behavior of their parents and peers first and then try to imitate them. Lev is well known for the terms tools of the mind, zone of proximal development, and scaffolding, all of which has to deal with how development works.
Tools of the Mind explains that the developmental processes and outcomes of children that may seem natural or spontaneous are actually the children's own perception of social and cultural exposure. Lev believed that cognitive functions were affected by beliefs and values. In other words, tools of the mind adapt to the culture in which a person develops and is therefore social culturally determined. Zone of proximal development refers to the differences between what a child can achieve independently and what a child can achieve with guidance and encouragement from adults. Scaffolding. Scaffolding in construction helps builders to reach the places they cannot otherwise reach alone or without aid. And like that, Vygotsky's scaffolding theory refers to someone who has a higher understanding or ability level than the learner and helps the learner to achieve the desired concept, task, or process.
Early childhood education in Barbados is the first of the three tiers of the Barbadian education system. Thus, we can safely say that it's the most influential in shaping a child's learning experiences. Going with the motto, each one matters, education for all, we can apply the principles of the great philosopher Vygotsky to our early childhood classrooms to achieve the highest level of cognitive development in our children. Play. Vygotsky believed in the importance of play. In Barbados, we often think that children are playing too much or are not being serious about learning. An early childhood educator, when applying the principles of Vygotsky, will set aside time for pure, unadulterated play, as according to Vygotsky, this is where the best learning takes place. For example, instead of telling children they must play with blocks, the early childhood educator can give the students an environment where they can choose to play safely however they please. They could play with games with friends, craft a sculpture with plastic scene, or even draw a picture. Children who enjoy activities develop better. Social cultural development. Vygotsky theory, when applied to a Barbadian classroom, would encourage learning from social interactions. Therefore, an early childhood educator who has embraced the Vygotsky methods would allow peer learning, face to face contact, and interaction with adults who influence children, and would create an interactive environment. For example, for a child to learn about fire safety, an early childhood educator could take the children to a fire station to interact with the firemen, see the safety equipment, and climb into the fire truck so that the experience impacts the children more.
Vygotsky's terminology, zone of proximal development. Each child has the capacity to learn, and the Vygotskian's early childhood educator will see that the potential capacity of the child is reached. In applying the principle of zone of proximal development, the early childhood educator will first find out what the child is able to do currently, what the child is able to do with guidance, and what the child cannot do. Through gentle guidance and prompting, the teacher can assist them to complete more complex tasks. For example, when the child is learning to count to 10 but is not able to remember the numbers in the correct order, the early childhood educator will not just say he can only count to 3 and that is sufficient. The early childhood educator will assist the child, perhaps with a number chart, and then help the child to commit the numbers to memory so that the chart does not have to be used anymore. Scaffolding. When we think of a scaffold, we think of a supporting structure used to reach higher places. This is exactly what the Vygotsky theory means when it refers to the scaffolding in the learning environment. In the early childhood classroom, Vygotsky's principle of scaffolding can be used by the teacher to assist students by guiding them through more and more complex tasks to master, to help them to reach a certain level of competence. For example, with scaffolding, if an early childhood educator is teaching a child to write his name, she will go through several steps, increasing in complexity until the child can write his name unassisted.
Using Vygotsky's theories, early childhood educators can consider using constructive and imaginative play in teaching to keep the children engaged and at the same time develop social and language skills, and being a great source of information and allowing diverse exposure to information within the classroom, or even combine play with information so that children can build on their learning and personality every day.